Going on safari has been top of my bucket list for as long as I can remember, but they can be expensive and it never seemed doable with my relatively modest budget. To make our dream achievable, we had to make the compromise of choosing a budget 6-day safari through Get Your Guide. Costs were a lot lower than other safaris we'd seen. But was the compromise worth it? Do you really get what you pay for, or was our experience just as good as if we'd paid twice the price? In this video we break down all of the elements of our trip so you can see for yourself what's involved and whether it's the right option for you. On safari you'll find that you spend most of your time in jeeps with the same group of people for the whole trip. We were lucky, our group only consisted of 5 people including us, and we instantly got on with all of them very well. Being a group of 5 also meant that we had much more space in our jeep, which actually seats 8 people. Very useful during the sometimes very long drives, and also good when on game drives and the roof is open. I can't imagine how cramped the jeep would have been with 8 people trying to stand to view the animals, as it was fairly cramped with 5 of us. Our jeep was fairly comfortable, but if you have any kind of mobility issues you might struggle, as the roads and dirt tracks can be very bumpy. Our guide called this an African massage. Our jeep had USB sockets to charge phones etc, but they never worked. We didn't really know what to expect with regards to where we'd be sleeping, but we were pleasantly surprised. We had a great mix of decent hotels for comfort and a bit more rough and ready style with tented camps for atmosphere. Apparently there are a lot of camps, all very similar with regards to facilities, and you're basically just taken to the nearest one with availability, but we liked ours. The first one in the Masai Mara was a large tent with a comfortable 4-poster bed and a basic bathroom with a proper flushing toilet. The shower was very hit and miss, but it didn't affect our stay too much. The second camp in Amboseli was more of a hut, a bit more upmarket with 2 beds and basic bathrooms similar to the previous. In both camps we had electricity and Wi-Fi that never seemed to work. Both camps had a reception area with dining room and an outdoor area with fire pits for those cosy evenings with a beer. One disappointment was the food situation. Breakfast, which was included every morning, was consistently poor. Usually a choice of pancakes, eggs, poor quality beef sausages and random vegetables. Most of the time everything was no more than lukewarm. We did have one decent breakfast in Amboseli where the chef had time to chat to us and told us he used to be a chef in a hotel. Lunches were usually a packed lunch consisting of overripe fruit, a dry bread roll and sometimes some leftovers from the previous night's dinner such as chicken, usually very dry and blandly unseasoned. Most of the time we'd leave most of our lunches and eat crisps or biscuits we'd picked up ourselves. Dinners weren't much better, usually a buffet of plain rice, unseasoned beans and some kind of meat. Either chewy, flavourless beef or more of the bland, dry chicken we'd passed on from lunch. We'd come to Africa expecting colour, spices and flavour, but that's definitely not what we experienced anywhere we went. In fact, the best meal we had was in Nairobi airport on our way home, and that was just a bog standard chicken burger and fries. Our trip included visiting the 3 main national parks in Kenya, the Masai Mara, Lake Nakuru and Amboseli, all with their own highlights and featured animals. Our favourite overall was definitely the Masai Mara. The concentration of wildlife is incredible and we saw 4 of the big 5 in just 2 days spent there, including the most elusive of the 5, the leopard. The Masai Mara just has an aura about it as well, and it lived up to its reputation as one of the best wildlife areas in Africa. Lake Nakuru felt completely different but not necessarily in a bad way. Much smaller and feeling less remote, with residential areas surrounding it. There was still a good amount of animals, including the last on our big 5 checklist, the rhino. We also saw the endangered Rothschild giraffe, which was an amazing experience. Lastly, Amboseli in the shadows of Mount Kilimanjaro. Once again, Amboseli had a completely different feel to the other 2. The land much more dry and arid, with animal populations much more spread out and harder to encounter. We still enjoyed it though, and seeing the vast herds of elephants with the towering backdrop of Kilimanjaro was a highlight of our trip. The only thing that we didn't enjoy was the hours of travelling in between. We'd sometimes spend 5, 6 or 7 hours on the road at a time, but I guess that was necessary to fit in all 3 locations in 6 days. For the most part, our 2 separate guides were friendly, knowledgeable and organised. Ask them a question about any of the wildlife or environment and they can answer passionately and in depth. These people truly love the animals and land that they live on, and that shines through. They know where to find certain species of animals and made our game drives much more enjoyable by ensuring we saw as much wildlife in the time as possible. Our only constructive feedback would be about communication. Unless we asked what the plan was each day, we'd just be blindly getting into a jeep not knowing whether we'd be travelling for 5 minutes or 5 hours. As soon as we figured this out, we were much more comfortable as we could mentally plan for a long drive. We did have a slight issue when we had to swap to our second guide. He wanted us to cram into his Jeep while he dropped off his previous group, fitting 9 people into a Jeep made for 8, with too much luggage in 30-degree heat. We complained and the company arranged a private taxi to take us to our hotel instead. We got off on the wrong foot with Chris, but once we'd got over that debacle, we found him warm, friendly and a great guy to spend a couple of days with. Overall, we had an amazing time on our budget safari. Would paying more make it more comfortable? Maybe. Would we have gotten better food? Probably. But the things we'll remember most won't be the food or the long drives on bumpy roads. It'll be the wildlife we saw, the amazing sights we'd seen and the lovely people we'd met along the way. And that's what travel is all about. Check out one of our other videos on this trip to see more and to help you decide if a budget safari is right for you. Thanks for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe.